job shadowed a dietitian at Deaconess when I was in high school, and I was doing a research paper on cystic fibrosis. And so I came into hospital, and so I got to job shadow with her a day to get information for my research paper. So that's how I got interested in the profession. I wear a lot of hats, being the dietetics manager. I'm over clinical dietitians. And as a clinical dietitian, we see patients for many different things. So we see NICU babies, so the nutrition for infants that are preterm. We have dietitians that work on the nutrition plans for them, working with the parents and deciding on the best formulas with the doctor and fortifiers to use for them. We also see outpatients for the gestational diabetes. So we do a lot of outpatient counseling. We see inpatient. So if someone comes into the hospital for possibly gallbladder issues, or maybe having a lot of trouble just tolerating being able to eat at the beginning of their pregnancy, sometimes we're involved with helping develop meal plans for them. So each day is a little different depending on where we might be going. The dietetics manager, I'm also over the food service side. So that's the other hat that I wear. So I have like 35 employees down in the kitchen. So the day-to-day menu that is out in our cafeteria, we write the menus for that. We also, I have to keep staffing. So it's a little bit challenging day-to-day, keeping enough employees staffed for all the shifts, because we actually have a first shift, a second shift, and a third shift. So sometimes a little challenging to make sure we have enough to cover all of those shifts each day. That's probably the biggest challenge. The favorite parts of my role would be just the people interaction and being able to, especially the gestational diabetics, they're usually a little bit more motivated to learn about their diet and to make changes because they're trying to also keep their baby healthy. So I find it's rewarding when you see progress, that they've made changes and are able to keep their blood sugars controlled throughout the pregnancy. So that's probably the best part. Probably it's just trying to we have a lot of college students that work for us, and so sometimes their schedules are just not as, they're not open to come into work just any hours that we need. So sometimes that's our biggest, I would say it's not my least, I really love my job, but that's probably the least favorite, is trying to find people that are able to work the shifts, because sometimes we have to piece 2 or 3 people together to get a shift filled. So yeah, when I graduated from Purdue, I actually was very lucky and fortunate that I got a job offer at Welborn Hospital, downtown Evansville. They actually, at the time, Marriott, like the hotel Marriott, they also had a healthcare division. So they subcontracted dietitians through the Marriott for Welborn Hospital. So actually I was hired through Marriott Healthcare, and then was actually got lucky to be positioned at Evansville at Welborn Hospital. So when I called my new boss to tell her that I was coming, she did not know I was coming. So that was kind of funny, because she's like, "You're coming? I didn't even know I had a new dietitian coming." So I was super excited. And so I worked pediatrics. I did the cardiac diets. And then also I worked myself up into critical care. So I did like the TPNs, tube feedings, learned my role in that. And then I was fortunate to get the position at Deaconess. I worked at the main Deaconess for 5 years before the women's hospital actually opened. And then when the women's hospital opened, I did the contract work here. And then as they had enough patient care, then I was able to get my position in. So that's kind of how I moved into my management role. We are registered and actually licensed in Indiana through the licensing board. So we do have a 15 minimum continuing education hour that we're required by the state to have each year. And then we also have a 75-hour continuing education requirement that's due every 5 years for our dietetic profession. So they kind of overlap with each other. I also have a diabetes educator certification. So with that, that also has 75-hour education of its own. So I have to maintain that separately. So trying to maintain and keep the hours. So we're fortunate that a lot of the virtual lessons and things we're able to get credit from articles, and also just, going on and doing things online and not have to go to in-person things as much as what we used to in the past. That's another part of dietetics that's real exciting, is because it has branched out. There's lots of jobs. So it can be food service, like management, like what I've kind of branched myself into. There's the clinical side, which can be at the hospital. All of the nursing and rehab facilities, they hire dietitians to help make nutrition plans, wellness programming. So nutrition there. A lot of people don't realize, but like the big, large food companies like Kraft, they hire dietitians to help with a lot of the nutrition analysis. Mead Johnson is another, because of the infant formula. Several of my colleagues work there. Fitness centers, also just even writing, if journalism. So there's different avenues or different directions that they could take even with a dietetics degree. I don't remember exactly, but I loved being outside in nature, and I thought I wanted to be a nature preserve person, like at the Westman Park Nature Center, like, the greeter and the person that works there. I always thought that was exciting. And so I actually started out at Purdue in forestry engineering because I took forestry and 4-H. So I thought that was my background and that's where I should be because I like nature. But I found out real quick that one of the things that they said that as a job to work yourself into good positions, that you need to volunteer at parks and mow the grass. And then I decided that I probably should decide a different career because my dad fired me because I did not mow grass in a straight line. So I called my mom to tell her that I was changing my major. I had researched it, and dietetics was kind of always in the back of my mind. So yeah, when I called to tell her that, she laughed because she was like, well, yeah, no, your dad did fire you for mowing. So good choice. Public speaking is probably the biggest one because I do lots of presentations in person for support groups and just different organizations. So I feel like, patient care day to day, always interacting with people. So I feel like that's probably a big skill. The food service side, just, the food cooking skills from 4-H. So definitely just from that project. And community service, because we are still involved in the community, and just understanding that support system is important as a part of your job. I feel like that's also a good baseline too. If you're interested in dietetics, I would strongly encourage, even as a high schooler, we are able to hire 16-year-old and over to work in the food service department. I feel like it's a great experience just to get in and see what the hospital atmosphere is like, to see if it's a fit for you. So for dietetics, it's a good fit because you learn about diets, you learn about the specialty, like a diabetic diet and some of those, to see if it interests you and if it's something that you feel like you would want to pursue. Because you do attend 4 years of school and then you have to have an internship as well. So having that work experience helps that resume too.